Alright, we are in the garage today. We got some nasty weather. It came in. It's actually warmer than it has been, but it's raining really hard and we're supposed to get 10, 20, gusts to 25 winds today, so I'm not out on the lake, but it's not the only reason. I'm not afraid of going out in the rain, but the wind's a little tough with the small boat. But I am gonna install my new chart plotter today. I got the Garmin 106 SV, like a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal. It's actually really cheap compared to what they were selling for. I already had a 93 SV in the front of the boat, and that was actually the first chart plotter that I got. I had what came with the boat, which is a Hummingbird. I think it's maybe a 4 or 5 inch screen, just 2D sonar, and I had that for the first year and a half when I had the boat, and then it's been about, I guess, just about a full year. I got the LVS 32 edition live scope. It was actually right before the Plus came out, but the regular live scope works just fine for me. My dad actually has the Plus. There is a little bit of a difference between the two. Target separation to me it seems a little bit clearer on the live scope Plus, but one thing I noticed for sure was you definitely get some extended range with the regular live scope that I have. Really accurately, maybe 70, 80 feet max. After that, it kind of just goes static or fog. I don't really know how to describe it, but you're just not seeing a good picture out past 80 feet. I mean, that partially could be because of the water I'm fishing in. I don't know, maybe other people have a different experience, but that's kind of what I get, lakes that I fish. Anyway, my boat is a complete mess right now because I just got crap laying everywhere. I'm about to install this thing. I already unboxed it. Both of my units are laying down in there, and put together the mounting bracket for the transom for this. This is the GT54 transducer. It just happened to come with it. I've heard this GT56 is a little better, you get a sharper image with it, but it's gonna do just fine. I've never had side imaging, down imaging, nothing. This is what I was using for the first little while I had my boat. And my boat before that had about a 15-year-old 2D sonar unit on it. And you know, live scope is awesome. It's definitely put me on bigger, better quality fish, but you can get it done with just 2D sonar. I might try and make a video after we get this installed and just kind of show what I used to do, and probably what a lot of people out there are gonna have to do. Maybe have no sonar at all. That's just you going back to basics. You gotta kind of understand where fish are gonna be certain times of the year. I know before I had any kind of real legitimate sonar, spring was really the only time where I was getting big crappies, just because spawn, you know where to look for them. Outside of that, it can be tough, especially where I'm at. The crappie population is not that large. I mean, you've probably seen, if you've seen some of my videos, you know I get some really quality fish, but there's only a handful of spots and a handful of lakes in my area that can even produce fish that size. So that is where the live scope really came in handy, because up until last year, my PB crappie, I don't even think I weighed it, but it was up in Canada, probably 2 pounds maybe. And for Pennsylvania, I'd never gotten one over 1.5 pounds until I got live scope. So there's definitely some advantages to that, and any of you guys at home that have live scope, I'm sure you know that by now. You your fish numbers, your fish quality, it all goes up. So a lot of people out there don't like it, say it's cheating, it's boring, it's this, it's that, but puts fish on the boat. You know, gotta just try and use everything that's out there nowadays. So anyway, gonna get started kind of prepping some of this stuff. I'm gonna try and get some video of the steps I got to go through to actually install this thing. But I'm going out, taking my brother out on the lake tomorrow. So we're gonna have to look around. The water's probably a little cooler, but we are getting some warm rains. Maybe not, I don't know, but we're gonna go out there and give it to them, find some fish, and hopefully put a couple of big 2+ pounders in the boat. Maybe even help my brother get his personal best, because he's at 2 pounds, I think it was 2.2 was his. A big long fish, but just wasn't, you know, springtime. It seemed like that one had already spawned out just by the stomach on it. So yeah, I mean, really good chance he puts his personal best on the boat tomorrow. So catch up with you in a minute. First thing I gotta do is get my butt up underneath here, which this isn't that big of a boat. Everything's a little tight up in here. Okay, so I got the transducer wire unplugged up here already. I'll try and get one of these lights up in here, help out a little bit. So the old unit in here is flush mounted, and I'm going to leave that in there. Obviously I don't want to take it out and just have an empty hole in my console. Unfortunately, I would have really liked to flush mount this unit, but the spacing is so tight that if I run into a problem on trying to flush mount that 9-inch unit, I'm going to have a giant hole in my dash and console, and I really don't want to mess with that. So I'm going to start by carefully cutting some of these zip ties that are on here. There's a whole lot of them too. So you can free up these wires to start tracing them out. I got a better pair of scissors. Oh. this bundle I got with my finger on here. There we go. Is running into a 3-amp fuse, so far so good. I'm gonna leave that power cord hanging there so we know which one it goes to. But I got the first bit of the headache out of the way here, which is great because now what I can do is tape my rope to the transducer cable and start pulling that through, and then mount the transducer. So let me get up out on from underneath here and start working on that. By the way, I got these really pretty cheap waterproof lights off of Amazon. I actually have stuck them in my live well before. Comes with a little remote, and they just come in handy whenever you're trying to do stuff in low lights. I can turn these on up underneath where I was working. Just turn them on and off with the remote. Nice little thing to have on the boat. I think they cost maybe 30 bucks on Amazon. I don't know, I don't even remember what they're called, so sorry, but I'm sure you can figure it out. It's submersible LEDs. On to the next piece of this job. So one of the first things I did when I bought this was just come over, unbox it all, kind of take a look at everything, see what's going on. Because I've learned the hard way over the years that by just doing things by the seat of my pants, that usually when you do that, you end up with a real headache. So the first things I noticed was the way that the old transducer cables run. They do have a metal wire clamp or clip right there, but it's too small for the new transducer wire. I don't know how good that comes up on the camera here, but I found what I think is going to be a decent alternative to it, but I'm going to have to back those out. Hopefully these clips I got will fit properly and not be too loose or too tight, and then I will throw some silicone in there and make sure we're all good and sealed up. But my boat did come with a really nice welded transducer bracket, and just looking at it, I will have to drill some new holes to mount the new bracket and transducer on, but no drilling into the boat, which is really nice. You just use some self-tappers and rip them on in there. So we're gonna cut off these last few cables in the back, because everything is still wire tied all the way to the back of the boat, and this one here is actually passed through some sheathing, kind of unusual. I'm not going to do that again. Clip these, and then we can start pulling the transducer wire through. And I have this power cord right here we're going to tie up. Going to tape that up to the old transducer cord. That way we don't have to run anything else through there, no snaking. Just tape this cord up. I'm going to tie it and then tape it so we don't lose it in there. Okay, bring you back up to speed. I just spent about a half hour trying to figure out what had this transducer cable hung up. And what they did, I'm not going to be able to show you exactly, but what they did was they ran the wire up through this gunnel extension here for the throttle body, and they put the cable up underneath of this screw. So now I got to back that screw out because the plug end of the transducer that goes into the fish finder is hung up underneath of that. Well, that's not going to work because there's a nut on the inside of it, so the nut is just spinning. So yeah, I was trying to get this transducer cable out intact, but that might not be a choice. I might be cutting this thing off and just getting it over with because it's hung up in there bad, and I really don't feel like taking apart anything else to get this job done. So if I ever use this fish finder again, I'll just get a new transducer cord, I suppose. Okay, we're back to pulling wire. At all. So unfortunately this transducer is toast because I had to cut it, but maybe you can splice these. I really have no idea. I've never tried or heard of anybody repairing transducer cable, but I mean, it looks like it's just metal stranded wire in there, so probably possible. But anyway, on to the next step. Get the template put on here for the transducer. You drill a couple holes, you can mount that up and pull the cable through. Transducer installed.
You and those cameras. Your trash off the floor. And you got it.
So I skipped a little bit because I a bit frustrated because my original plan hadn't worked out exactly the way I wanted it, but it is officially installed. I just got to go in here and tie up some of these wires with cable ties, but everything's run, power, network, I mean the whole kit and caboodle that I wanted to do is done. So I got my 993 SB, the 9-inch, in the console now, transducer hooked up, and the whole thing is networked. Got the network cable here, so now I will have, well, at least be able to see my live scope from the console, also up front because it's mounted on my trolling motor. But all this is going to be networked together. So now I got the 106 SV up front, and all that networked in, so I can use my, I'll be able to see the side imaging and down imaging coming from the transom up front. It's really, you know, I guess ideally you could have it the trolling motor too, but for me it does not make any difference. I'm fine with that. If I come across something I want to hit, I'll just turn the boat around. But yeah, it's all done. Just gotta test it out now, so I'll take it out on the water tomorrow and give it a try and see how everything works. So I'll catch you tomorrow.